Plaintiff Bob Leverance says he's been a restaurant manager most of his life and met the defendant on the job. Bob claims he trusted the defendant, but he's suing him today because he had Bob cash a fraudulent check. Defendant Trey Williams says Bob is not the good guy he claims to be, and he often brought his personal life into the workplace. Trey claims Bob often talked poorly about his wife, and in turn, Trey confided in him that he worked in the porn industry. Trey's countersuing for emotional distress.
Start with you.
I've been in the business of retail and restaurant management for most of my life. I do care a lot about my employees. I've even had people come live with me that have worked for me. A pregnant young lady, another gentleman that his girlfriend threw him out.
Is that your wife?
Yes, sir.
All right, you better be careful about having your female employees come live with you. That don't sound right. You might want to put that a different way. Go ahead.
When I first started the store I'm at now, I had Trey was there as the breakfast manager, and really came to trust Trey quite a bit because he always had customer compliments. He did a fine job, was always on time, did a great job for me. And I began to hopefully mentor him because he expressed interest in moving up with the company.
Defendant Trey Williams worked for the plaintiff, and he claims they were so close that he confided in the plaintiff about working in the porn industry.
Let me allow him to give some background, then we can get to the check you're suing him about, sir.
Well, yes, Your Honor. First off, Mr. Leverance is not who he appears to be today. He claims to be this great gentleman, who helps everybody and is very commending and, loving. He's not. He's very betraying. He's backstabbing.
How so?
How so? He's a former cocaine addict, Your Honor, for many years. We don't know. He could still be using, to my knowledge.
Where do you get that information?
From himself personally, from private conversations.
You say he could be using? What gives you that impression that he could be using?
He has very high anger tolerances, Your Honor, coming at his employees with great anger, great distress, stuff that shouldn't be brought into the workplace.
People get angry, they're not necessarily addicted to cocaine.
Not necessarily.
But in fact, we'll see by the end of the case who's addicted to cocaine.
Most certainly.
People who pass off fraudulent checks and are very skinny.
Indeed. Well, I can assure you I'm not.
All right, go ahead, sir. Tell me about how he has failed to care for his employees as he's suggesting.
Some examples, when he would come into work, Your Honor, he would be very distraught. He'd be more concerned about his own situation at home, nagging about his wife, saying how she is just so awful, how he doesn't want to, live with her, and they don't even sleep in the same bed. That's ridiculous.
And why do you think he would share that with you?
He would come to me in confidence all the time.
You were his confidant?
More or less, in private times, more or less. We both confided in each other within our personal situations. Several things, actually.
Tell me one.
Several things.
You talking about what he shared with you?
The types of industry that I was in, I was very verbal about it at my job.
What industry is that?
I did not hide it. I was in the gay porn industry for quite some time. Okay. I did some
That's how I know him.
Lovely.
So you
Now I remember. Now I
him.
remember.
All right, go ahead. So you shared that with him?
Yes, sir. As I was stating, I was in that industry for quite a few years, doing some photography as well as some videoing. And I met a gentleman in a bar one night, and that's how we proceeded to this event that we are in today. And
okay, we'll get to that. Tell me about the check.
Okay, well, Trey came to me with a check, said he was having trouble cashing. It was from his father, is where it was from, and that he didn't have a bank account there in town that would cash it for him. It was because it was drawn in another bank outside of the city where we live in, and that they wanted to charge him $300, $400, $500 to cash it. And I said, well, if you'd like, I can try to cash it at my bank. And I only did that because of the relationship I thought I had with Trey. Apparently, it turns out to be not to be the one I thought it was now. And so I took it to my bank, and they hemmed and hawed for a couple of minutes, but they did cash it, gave me the money, and I brought it back and gave it to Trey. Trey then threw a $100 bill on the desk as I guess a payment, and I left it there. I said, I don't want this, but he left it there, and I took it. But that was all there was to it. It was still the whole check.
Let me see the check, please. What do you say to this? You issued him a A check that was, fraudulent or otherwise.
Yes, sir. As I
Invalid?
proceeded to tell Mr. Leverance in the event of it, I did tell him that it was from my father. I did not want him to know the exact events on which I had, accumulated the funds from at the moment. When Mr. Leverance did bring me the funds back, I did ask him, however, several times I asked him, Mr. Leverance, he said that the bank had held his funds for a certain period of time. I asked him several times, I said, would you like the money back? I repeatedly asked him 7 to 8 times before I left the facility in front of numerous employees, would you like the money back? Do you need the money back? His wife had called several times, going very angry, going off. Mr. Leverance had ran into the office, cussing, yelling, screaming, which is understandable. The situation that they had going on between them at the time was none of my business. So I let him handle it the way he did. They were always constantly arguing back and forth.
Whatever, I heard all that. Come on, tell me about
Never
this
even
check.
been in the store, Trey.
I'm just saying that's what's happened, and he has his side of the story, I have mine.
Defendant Trey Williams worked for the plaintiff, and he claims they were so close that he confided in the plaintiff about working in the porn industry.
Tell me about this check. Did you give him a bad check?
As far as I, yes, the check
So
did
why
turn out
shouldn't
bad.
you have to pay?
I don't think that I should have to pay because I informed Mr. Leverance. I said, if you're taking responsibility of this check, this is, this is up to you. And that's what the bank stated.
And
to
he
him
went
as
along
well.
with that?
Apparently.
So why do you think he's suing you today? Changed his mind?
Apparently he is.
All right, well, let's go with his last thought, and that is he wants his money now. So what defense do you have today?
My defense is I don't owe Bob anything. Bob, there's no reason I should owe Bob anything. He consently took the check out of my hand.
You gave him a bad check.
I had no knowledge of the check being bad previously.
Okay, but once you did find out, why shouldn't you have to compensate him?
I did not know the check was fraudulent until
But you found out.
I did from
So
former
why shouldn't you
employees.
have to reimburse
You found
him?
out from me, Trey. I have the text messages right here that you found out from me.
However he found out that he had given you a bad check in exchange for money.
Yes, Your Honor.
And so why shouldn't you have to pay?
I don't feel I should. Mr. Leverance was in hard times for cash himself, and even at the time, I even told him the bank was going to charge me $400 to $600 to cash it. And Mr. Leverance, oh, well, I'll cash it for you, not a problem.
You're dodging
for a
this
certain
question,
fee.
sir. You're
That's
dodging and double
how it
talking and
was.
everything else. What's your counterclaim for? $400. How does he owe you, sir?
Mr. Leverance constantly slandered my name after that day.
How so?
Telling every one of my employees that I'm, nothing but a gay SOB, going, back and forth with.
Are you gay?
I am indeed.
All right. So what else?
He was going on about, proceeding to say that he was going to mess up my vehicle, telling people.
Did he mess up your vehicle?
My vehicle actually was vandalized, but there's no proof as to who.
All right, so you
know.
can't sue him for that. I'm gonna have to dismiss your claim for emotional distress. And with regard to the fraudulent check, what many people don't know is if you give to someone something fraudulent that was given to you, you're still liable for it, and you have to go and sue the person who gave it to you. But you owe this person. So judgment for the plaintiff, $2,450. Your claim is dismissed. Have a good day. You all look like a very
you,
nice
Honor.
couple.
Thank you.
Don't you let him talk stuff about your marriage. Have
No
a good
problem.
day.
Well, I hope you're happy your husband made money off of me making gay porn. I hope you're really happy about that. I hope you guys are both very satisfied, because I know I am. That's all I'm gonna say.
It's unbelievable. It's lies, just total lies. I don't know why this kid is doing this to Bob, because Bob really cared about him and tried to help him. So, just shocked.
Just same to them. He claimed to be one person the whole time, and he definitely wasn't. It was all a charade, and I just got messed up. I shouldn't have done what I done, but it's done and over with now, and there's nothing that can be said about it.
For answers to your legal questions and more, go to my website, askjudgemathis.com.